Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf where we talk about books. Today is episode 6 of Indie Spotlight. I was hoping to get this out earlier in July. Unfortunately, summer break threw a bit of a wrench in that. However, I have a list of 13 books we're going to cover today, and while I do have so many books planned to talk about, 3 of them will be upcoming releases because many of the ones I did plan to talk about were supposed to be coming out toward the end of July, which we now are, and well, they've been moved into the upcoming releases category. Such is life. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive in with the upcoming releases. First up is A Dirge for Cassius by Callum Lott. This is releasing on August 2nd, coming up pretty quickly. It'll be about 170,000 words, and it also has a soundtrack, which I will link in the description if you want to go and check that out as well. Apart from this epic cover, the pitch is Hyperion meets True Detective with cosmic horror and one intense character struggle. I don't doubt it based off of that cover, and I am quite curious to see how that turns out. Next is Blood of Midgard by Baptiste Pinson-Wu, releasing on August 15th. This is a Norse-inspired fantasy and book 1 in the Army of One trilogy. Now, the pitch for this is a retelling of Ragnarok, where the gods are no heroes. The end is near, the war is just beginning. And something I always love with Norse fantasy is the setting, the language, the intensity that you can get from it a lot of times. But the cover here is also pretty simple, and I really appreciate how eye-catching it is. After that, we have Garantia's Fury by L.M. Douglas, and this is an author who is now one of the Secret Scribes groups. If you've heard of the Break-ins, we now have the Secret Scribes, so go check them out as well. This is book 2 in the Chronicles of the Endless War series. It's an epic fantasy, and it's releasing on September 13th this year. This gives you plenty of time to read book 1, which is Garantia's Guardian. Since this is book 2, I'll give you the pitch for book 1, which is the devastating gods' war that ravaged the other side of the world for centuries is coming to Garantia. Its rulers, Princess Melaine and Chryterius, the Guardian, stand as sentinels safeguarding their cherished realm. The covers, yeah, I would say that plus the pitch equals a pretty epic and intense war fantasy. So that is it for this episode's upcoming releases. Like I said, there was quite a few that were releasing towards the end of July and have already released at the time this video is being recorded. So I've slotted them over to recently released, and let's dive in and see what those ones are. First up is a sci-fi, and this is by an author who previously has written classic fantasy, so I'm really curious to see how that has changed with his writing. This is The Halley Traveler by Mike Molman. First off, the cover looks hand-drawn, hand-sketched. I love that style, and it released on July 26th, so not too long ago. It's about 375 pages, it's character-driven, and features found family and a classic revenge plot. The pitch for it is Earth has fallen into chaos. Mars is a collection of city-states that only cooperate when there's no other choice. Chris Halley and his father have a spaceship, and they're part-time traders and part-time smugglers. When tragedy strikes Chris, a sheltered teen, he's on his own. He must navigate his way through a life he's not ready for and mete out justice to whoever murdered his father. Both are deadly propositions. After that, we're coming back to fantasy with The Sound of Starfall, a prelude to The Last Ballad by Scott Palmer. Now, this is a prequel novella to A Memory of Song, which was the author's debut. It's about 89 pages, and I've got 2 parts of a pitch here for you, and that is The Sky is Falling, Nightmares are Waking, the sound of starfall eats all else. As a death cult breaches the walls of the Golden City, a warlock, an enslaved man, and a guard are forced to make decisions that will shape the world for thousands of years to come. One thing I love about novellas is I've found, depending on where they're put in a series, that they can be an excellent entry point into an author's writing, and that's what I usually recommend if it makes sense within the series. So in this case, this is a prequel. I would say give it a try if you're not sure about delving into an author's chunkier books. Novellas are a great place to see if their writing style, their stories are for you. After that, we have The Branded by Joe Riccioni. I am probably butchering that and I'm very sorry. This published back in June this year, and it's book one in the Branded season series. It's 408 pages, and the pitch for it is The Branded is an epic, high-concept speculative novel with explosive ideas about gender and class, served up with romance, conflict, and quick-fire narrative pace. After that is one that was highly anticipated for me as a release. It was very kindly gifted to me by the author, who I also consider a friend, and that is The Crimes of Rooker Flynn by A.R. Witham. Andy, thank you again for sending me this copy. Guys, I am so excited for this. Andy A.R. Witham wrote The Legend of Black Jack. It's a fun portal fantasy that reminded me of The Never-Ending Story as just one comparison, or The Page Master if you're more of a movie folk. But back to The Crimes of Rooker Flynn. This released back in June. It's about 376 pages. Again, we have that portal fantasy. It's the first in a new trilogy following the pirate Rooker Flynn. As for the pitch, it's perfect for those who love Red Rising, A Deadly Education, and The Great Escape. You will lose yourself inside a suspenseful page-turner that you will not be able to put down until the very last word. And I did dive into the first 10% of this, and boy, was it hard to put down. Rooker Flynn does not get a break. The next two on this list are by the same author, but because they're different styles of fantasy, I figured I'd just put both of them in here anyway. The first one out of the two is Magic's Genesis, The Grey by Rosaire Bushy. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. It's book one in the 30 Stones saga, which currently has 6 books available. It's a fantasy at 314 pages. The pitch for it is when magic comes to Agra, an average woman becomes one of the most powerful people in the world, and a broken man becomes one of the most dangerous. After that is Ranger's Deck, The Saffron Hand, and this is also by Rosaire Bushy. It's book one in the Ranger's Deck series. It's fantasy and about 215 pages. The pitch for this one is changing from his dragon form to that of a ranger. Maragon accepts an old woman's request to lay before him the Pacrame, a series of cards to tell one's fortune. With magic at their center, the cards remain blank except for one. To discover what the remainder show, Maragon needs to solve the riddle of the first one. After that, we have Far Removed by C.B. Lansdale. This is 308 pages and a sci-fi. It's book one in the Apodeca duology, and it was released on September of last year, 2023. The pitch for this is mysteries surface, a supernatural substance is used in corrupt ways as identities shift and predicaments are reshuffled. What alliances must be forged? I don't know if I'm the only one who finds this, but I really like the cover for this. It feels mysterious and ominous at the same time. With that pitch, I am curious. After that, we have Of Elves and Men by Christian Warren Freed. This released back in June of this year. It's about 289 pages. It's a paranormal urban fantasy, and the pitch that I was given for this one is short, but quite concerning and curious at the same time. Goblins kidnap a comic book artist and head to Charleston. I have so many questions. After that, we have one that has continuously popped up on my radar, which is Sly Fox Hollow by Brett Allen. It was released in August of 2023. It's a dark comedy, and it's about 368 pages. The pitch for it is a small town in decline, a murdered mayor, a comically contentious election, a celebrity monster hunter, and the legend of the dreaded Michigan Dogman. Finally, the last one for today's episode is Sword of Elves by Louis Falco de Magalhães. I am so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. This released back in July of this year. It's a classic fantasy at about 274 pages. The pitch for it is Frida was once the most dreaded swordswoman of the Circle Sea. Now she is stranded. War has taken everything from her, her ship, her crew, her lover. So that is it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found some new books to add to your TBR. If some did catch your eye, I'd love to know which ones. Leave your comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching and take care of yourselves.